Hey kiddos, Squid General 10 here, and we're doing another interesting fanfictions as always, but this isn't just your usual interesting fanfictions, alright? This one's gonna be Coronation Street, and if you don't know Coronation Street well, I don't know what to tell you. Welcome to Britain. It's a soap opera, which basically all that means is it's the most boring shit ever. It's a bunch of tossers doing day-to-day things. It came out in 1960, you know, fun times, and as of then it's been going over 9,000 episodes. Last time I checked it was something like 9,000, and they do one a day, so that's pretty dope. With characters such as Norris Cole, Fizz Brown, and who could forget good old Roy Cropper. So, now that you know the basics, it's time to read the fanfiction. The show is shite, I'll be honest. It's for old people and people who have nothing better to do, literally. It's so boring. I don't know what to tell you. And this fanfiction's called Candy Crush? Question mark? So, let us begin. Whilst the clock read barely 3 AM, Carla's mind raced as if it was morning. She hated jet lag, but most of all, she hated Peter's ability to adapt so easily. Sleeping beside her, the gentle snores of her husband were deafening in the comparative silence of the room. Lightly she nudged him with her foot, yet whilst he grumbled in his sleep, Peter did not wake, leaving Carla bored and alone. Turning onto her side, she picked up her phone from the bedside table. At least she always had Candy Crush, which was also in the Emoji Movie. Just want to throw that one in there. Eventually Peter's snores subsided and Carla felt his arms snake their way around her waist, pulling her into him. Oh, it's getting saucy. Letting him snuggle her, but without acknowledging him, Carla continued to play the game. Resting his head against hers, Peter watched her play. Thought we'd agreed no candy crushing, he whispered in her ear. Oh, I bet he wants to crush her candy. Putting his curly whirly in her licorice all sorts. Ooh, that gets me going. Jesus Christ, I don't know what I'm doing. He whispered in her ear, breaking the soft silence as he reached up to make a move in her hesitation. Carla mumbled, pushing his hand away to complete the level herself. But what's a girl to do, she teased, left to fend for herself? Seriously neglected by her husband? He was asleep, you daft slag. I have never neglected you, Peter whispered against her neck as he kissed her. Yeah, Carla softly chuckled, momentarily closing her eyes at his kiss. Snoring doesn't really class as conversation though, does it, Barry? She teased. I don't snore, Peter quickly replied, lightly digging her in the ribs. Believe me, baby. Only knew you were awake by the distinct lack of snoring. The last of Carla's words were quickly hidden beneath her giggles as Peter tickled her side. This is just as boring as the actual show. Like, they take 40 episodes for a plane crash to happen, and that only lasts for like 2 episodes. Continuing, lightly, Carla kicked him away from her, returned to her phone. She only had a few levels to go to catch up with Michelle. Yeah, fuck you, Michelle, you dirty slag. Yeah, no love, Peter leant on his elbow beside Carla, slowly running his finger over her arm. Waiting for Candy Crush Lives puts a whole new spin on the phrase, get a life. Ha ha, that's hilarious, he teased. Carla laughed, not taking her eyes from the screen. Harsh, she whispered, but true. Peter finished for her, eventually catching her eye in the dark room. Besides, Peter softly kissed her neck. That's the 5th time he's done that. This is our honeymoon, he whispered suggestively in her ear, placing his hand on her thigh. Who? Carla momentarily considered his suggestion, but simply shrugged. You snooze, you lose, baby, she smirked, attempting to turn back on her side to start a new level. She likes Candy Crush way too much. I don't know if this is what it's like in the show, but fuck me. You thought the Emoji Movie was bad, now this fanfiction's going all out. Peter, with his hand still on her thigh, held her back. Now who's being neglectful, he smirked. With Carla still playing the game, Peter moved his hand up her thigh, his fingertips edging between her legs. The briefest of smiles flickered across Carla's lips, but she suppressed it before Peter noticed. Allowing her legs to be pushed to... okay, here we go. Carla continued to play the game, accepting additional lives from Michelle. Oh, fuck you, Michelle, still. Her heart began to race as excitement rushed through her body. She knew Peter well enough to know his exact intentions. The thought alone enough to ignite a burning desire deeper within her. A light gasp escaped Carla's lips, and she felt his fingers brush lightly against her, so lightly in fact she wondered if she'd imagine it. Given the heightened state of desire burning through her in anticipation, it wouldn't have surprised her. Peter knowingly inquired. Messed up the level. Carla quickly covered, biting her lip as his fingers brushed more apparently against her. Her heart fluttered, her legs parting in anticipation she'd been right. How many lives left? Peter asked, circling his... Oh, yeah, we're going. Circling his finger over her clit. 3, Carla replied mid-gasp, her eyes momentarily closing against his touch. I would have preferred a fanfiction about Roy Cropper, if I'm completely honest. Even though she'd been expecting it, the sensation of his touch caught her out, as it always did. You'll have to be more careful, Peter smirked, moving his finger back to trace around her entrance. Indeed, Carla uttered, restarting the level. This isn't sitting right with us, this shouldn't be a thing. His eyes flickering between Carla and the move she was making on her phone, Peter slipped a single finger partially inside her, before quickly removing it to retrace her entrance. Her breathing was becoming slightly ragged, and she knew it wouldn't be long before he had her full attention. Circling his thumb against her clitoris, Peter felt Carla parting her legs further, and obligingly slipped his finger fully inside before slowly removing it. I don't know what's wrong with this fanfiction. It's sort of trying to make it a Candy Crush fanfiction or a saucy one, but hey, whatever you want to do, man. You missed a move, Peter smirked, watching the screen as he continued to brush his fingers over her. Yeah, can't concentrate, Carla. Right, fucking Peter. She's trying to play a fucking game. You get your fingers out of her right now. Her words barely recognizable beneath her breathless whisper. Oh really? Peter replied, catching her eye. Yeah, she mumbled inaudibly, her body aching with desire. Carla let her phone fall to her side, meeting Peter's lips in a passionate kiss. I don't know why I go French, but just go with it. She gasped against his lips as he slipped his 2 fingers into her, his thumb continually circling her bud. Bud? Is she a spider now? Okay. Arcing her back for him, Carla ran her hands through his hair, battling her tongue against his. Ooh, this is about heating up. Sweet. Oh, that didn't come out right. Let's try that again. Tasty. There we go. Repeatedly slipping his fingers deeper into her, Peter increased the speed of his ministrations before breaking away from the kiss and removing his fingers from her. Peter, Carla groaned at the loss of contact, leaning her head into the pillow to arc her back further. Smiling slightly at her frustration, Peter slowly kissed his way down her body, pausing to flicker his tongue across her bud, again, spider, before kissing her entrance. A spider and a door. Interesting. Lightly, Peter traced his tongue around her entrance before slipping his own tongue partially into her and teasingly removing it. Yeah, Carla mumbled unwittingly, moving her own hand to rub her finger against her clit. Okay. Allowing her to continue for a moment, Peter watched before taking her hand and pulling it away. Holding her hand aside, he kissed her butt, letting his tongue flicker over it, before returning to slip his tongue into her. Carla entwined her fingers with his, softly moaning at the sensations he sent flying through her body as he curled his tongue, his fingers moving quickly over her bud. I'm assuming it's not a Bud Light. Okay, here we go. And switching tact, Peter removed his tongue, tracing it against her entrance as he continuously flipped his fingers deeply into her. Peter, Carla mumbled, feeling herself begin to clamp around his fingers. Groaning, Carla unintentionally squeezed his hand, her breath catching in her throat as her hips bucked into him. Sorry. Just readjusting myself. Knowing how close she was, Peter curled his fingers, flicking his tongue against her bud, pushing her closer to the inevitable. Lightly sucking against her bud, Peter repeatedly slapped, my bad, into her. Oh, Peter, Carla moaned, feeling herself clamping against his fingers as she climaxed. Slowing his ministrations, Peter continued to slip his fingers into her. This entire thing has just been a bit of Candy Crush and a bit of finger and move on. Howie, I'm getting bored here. Still prefer Candy Crush? Peter whispered, watching Carla as she attempted to regain control of her breathing. Incapable of speaking, Carla simply shook her head. Leaning over her, Peter softly kissed her, letting her taste her health. Can't even talk. It's knocked it out of his, against his lips. Carla rested her hand on his shoulder as she returned his kiss, her tongue instantaneously flicking across his. Pulling away from her, Peter returned, leaning his elbow beside her. "So does my beautiful wife still feel neglected by her husband?" he whispered knowingly. Carla momentarily contemplated his question. "Not so much," she whispered, eyes shining in the afterglow as she gazed at him. They could have dropped any number of Candy Crush puns there, like tasty, delicious, sweet. He could have... You know what? You do you, man. Well, that was certainly interesting for something to do with... I would have preferred Roy Crupper. Just hands up. Who would have preferred Roy Crupper? But it wasn't a bad one, I guess. It was just a bit repetitive, and I would have preferred more Candy Crush. But that was an interesting fanfiction, I would say it qualifies. So if you enjoyed it, give it a cheeky like. Leave a tasty comment if you like Candy Crush, and I'll see you in the next one, you Roy Cruppers.